Okay, I think of the last series is mathematics, right? So we'll see how the Dharma and mathematics have a correlation, including Paticcasamuppada. Okay. So what are the different kinds of mathematical thing you can have? So one is arithmetic. It's about numbers. So if you look at the Dhamma, yeah, Michael, after this we can continue. Yeah, we can continue. Yeah. So basically, we take the numbers, the karma accumulates depending upon how you are wanting things to be done. So it's an intention. So there's an increase or a decrease, and there's a variation in the quantity. That doesn't mean that karma is something deterministic. It's not. It's probabilistic. Okay, so again, part of mathematics. So when we look at algebra, which we have learned in our schooling, is about variables, relationship, and unknowns. So conditions are unknown. You can't say which condition is going to come, but each condition will have its own results, its own patterns, its own variables, right? So supposing I'm an intelligent person, all along I was dumb. So I found out from the Dhamma that why, let's say, I'm accused for thing I have not done. Then I found if I lie, accusing is possible. So can I stop that condition? I can. Very simple one. So if I know the variable, let's say a plus b plus c, and a is 1, and b is also 1, c is 1, if it is only a, b, c, then 3. So if I add all the 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3. So I know the expression. So can I know the expression of Dhamma? Yes, there are 10 immoral deeds. That's the expression of Dhamma. So if you know this, you'll get that. That's Paticcasamuppada. So this being, this comes to be. So if you know how this works, you can stop future suffering. So what I do, irrespective of whatever is said by whoever, I stop doing immoral deeds. It's my independent thing. So what happens? The condition changes. So the unknowns becomes known. Right now I can know. It was unknown, but now it is known. Because I know which variables and which relationships to be set and which relationships shouldn't be set. So it's no longer a guessing game. I was guessing. And I was thinking that why this is happening to me. Now I know exactly why it happens to me. Right? So that's the whole idea of mathematics, is to know. Otherwise, what's the point in doing mathematics if the objective is not to know? So now I know algebra. That means creating expressions and setting a relationship with two variables. What is Paticcasamuppada? Setting a relationship with two variables, which is avijja and sankhara. Right? You will never have sankhara without avijja. So if you cut sankhara, or if you want to cut sankhara, you have to cut avijja. And if you want to cut avijja, you have to cut asavas. So that's the basic field. So what happened to my camera? Okay. So what I'm trying to discern for myself is everything is numbers. Papancha sanya sankha is number. Proliferation is number. It starts increasing. If there is a story, the story starts to increase. If I put a number to this body, it starts to increase. Meaning, if I'm a 10-year-old, it becomes 11-year-old because it's numbered. And job is a number, designation is a number, salary is a number, profit is a number, everything is a number. And my dukkha is based upon number. So let's say $1, 100 Indian rupees. Earlier it was 50. That means you're paying 50 more to get the same $1. So which is dukkha? Right? It shouldn't have been. So that means if somebody is spending $100 worth, for an American, it is still $100. But for Indian, it's no longer an $100 deal. Why? He now has to spend 10,000 Indian rupees as opposed to 5,000 Indian rupees, or as opposed to 1,000 Indian rupees. If $1 was 10 rupees, he would have spent only 1,000. Now he's spending 10 times that amount. And if it was dollar to rupee was 1, then there is no dukkha because it is 10,000. That means a product of 100, an American buys at 100, but as an Indian buys at 10,000. So that is papancha. And sanya, sankha. Sankha is enumeration, numbering. So there's an increase. So when there's an increase, shouldn't there be dukkha on the negative side? Yeah. From an American point of view, it is sukha. Why? His $100 is fetching him more than less. Whereas for an Indian, it pinches because he's spending 100 rupees for $1. So in 2013, it was around 58 or 56 or 58. Now 2026, it's 100, it's doubled. Supposing somebody would have invested in India without doing anything, he would have got it doubled. So he's happy. But as an Indian, if he wants to buy some goods from America, it becomes superbly expensive. He's paying double. Right? So you see how it works. It's pure mathematics to see. And the dukkha is dependent on mathematics. Okay. You have to multiply or divide or add or something like that. Now we come to geometry. This body is geometric. Geo is earth, metrics of earth, which is circular, parabolic, square, trapezium, all of those kinds. So it is shape, as space, as a form, as a relation, right? But what you're seeing as a person is a geometry. There's no person. It's just a geometrical figure. So it's a dimension. So what do you mean by dimension? A person is 5 feet 7 inches. It's a dimension. The height is a 62 kgs, is the weight, right? So where is the person? How do you define a person? Where it is? So 6 feet tall. What? Is a person 6 feet tall, or the bone is 6 feet tall? Or accumulation of bone is 6 feet tall? When I say accumulation, it is arithmetic, right? And then this has a parabola structure. Some are circular, some are parabolic. So from eyes to everything has a symmetry. So it is symmetrical structure. So if I see it like that, the Dhamma can be seen. There's no person. So if somebody is 68 kgs and becomes 64 kgs, what happened to the 4 kgs? The structure reduced by 4 kgs. And you can name it as lean, which is again part of geometry, right? So you can see it, the rupa, the structure, the boundary, and the perception is geometrical. Like we say pot belly, that means pot is a structure, a shape. So if somebody's belly is kama, can say is pot belly. Belly is the stomach. The mid region looks like a pot. But pot is a geometrical structure. So you're referencing it, referencing the belly to be pot, which is algebra. I say if you know algebra, you can play around with this, that there's no person again. So you can see anatta, right? And then calculus, changing the rate of accumulations, which is changing, I can call it as anicca, it arising and passing away. And then arising and ceasing, and process view, because it's a process. Okay. That means I don't have to apply dy by dx and all that. What I need to know is integration and differentiation on calculus. I can see it in terms of the process. Then probability, the entire Buddha Dhamma is on probability. It's conditioned reality, right? When you say condition, should be probabilistic. So conditions create tendencies, and you can't have a fixed of anything. Because the condition changes, the probability also changes. So when I change my 10 immoral deeds, the probability of suffering reduces. Simple. And that is also mentioned in Chakravarti Sutta. We change the condition, nothing can be done. No suffering. That means you go back to abhasara. Nobody can stop you. Why? Because you change the underlying condition. So the probability of that karma coming is very remote. How is that? Because you've changed the underlying condition. Who says so? MN 136 says so. Mahakamma Vibhanga Sutta. So you change the condition. It works. Statistics, beautiful one. You take a data of yourself, of your personality, and see with what as a condition you react as what. Okay, how many times you react in that way? With this as a condition, how many times do I react in that way? With that as a condition, how much do I react in a particular way? So I create and then I rank it. And I create a PI matrix, probability and impact matrix, which creates statistical computation of how I would react. Right? It can be on anything from buying to selling to talking to eating to framing sentences to judgmental to behavior to whatever I would like to measure. So I put all measures and take my own personal data of my personality and I look at in what situation I would be what. And then I put it in two brackets. Veda Vitakka Sutta, one which will cause me suffering and one which will not cause me suffering. So now I have a statistical computation model for myself. And what I can do, I can work on removing the one which gives me suffering. Now, what's the probability of that thing coming? Very remote. Why? I'm cutting it off. So, what does Buddha say on this? Utpanne, papake, akusale, dhamme, nadivaseti, padahati, bhyanti karoti, anabhavam gameti. Anutpanne, papake, akusale, dhamme, nadivaseti, padahati, bhyanti karoti, anabhavam gameti. That means he's exactly doing what a statistician would do to populate the result and see whether utpanna already happened, anutpanna yet to happen, papake, immoral, kusale, akusale dhamme, that is which will sinful and also immoral deeds. What will he do? He will ensure it doesn't arise at all. Why? He created a statistical table. So I have told lies 20 times in a day. So I put that. Then I have stolen 3 times in a day. I put that. I've told truth 40 times in a day. I put that. I didn't get any stealing idea for so many times. I put all of that. So I ranked between papa and punya. So can I not work on it? I cannot put a trend diagram. Yes, I can show the trend, which is gati, habit. So I'm a habitual offender. Yes. So can I not work on that? Yes, I will put that trend. I'll put a column graph or row diagram or whatever I want to come up with. And then do what? I'll put a time scale saying that by what times I need to get out of this. I need to cut this. So I will follow as per MN19 and MN20. Guess what? That comma is gone. Simple. Now comes logic. That's the reason you need to be a mathematician. This blind following is madness. Meaning, Blind following to Mahabodhi is one of the madness thing you can do because there's no logic. There's no reason. Why am I doing it? It's devotion. Devotion beats your intellect, and nothing you'll gain out of devotion. It's blindness. So you require logic, valid reasoning, why things work and why things doesn't work. That's Paticcasamuppada again. So if you are a logician, you are in Paticcasamuppada. You have understood a cycle. If you are a blind follower of Buddha, then there's no PS cycle. You believe it to be nature, always existing. So my idea would be to do a Buddhist circuit. So what I do, I fly from Bangalore to Varanasi, from Varanasi to Kushinagar or to Sarnath, and then to this place and that place and that place and that place and both Gaya. Then I go to Lumbini and I cry. I do all kind of emotional things. I come back home as though that is the truth, which looks idiotic. Why? There is no logic. So what is the logic of Buddha Dhamma? Yoniso manasikara, samaditi. These are the two things. I'm going to a monastery is ayoniso manasikara. Why? I don't know why I'm going there. No, I feel I get good vibration. Ayoniso manasikara. No, somebody meditated there. Ayoniso manasikara. No, we'll go for recitation. Ayoniso manasikara. Why? What do you get out of it? Emotions, which is ayoniso manasikara. If I am emotional, it is ayoniso manasikara. No logic, no reasoning at all. That means I am in avijja, pachaya, sankhara. Sankhara, pachaya, vinyana. So what do? I cry there. What happened? No, Buddha came to me. Oh, you see, take it in a pocket and go. Okay, if Buddha comes to you, then there is something wrong with Buddha. Because he's saying, while living itself, there is no Tathagata. And for you, that Tathagata has come in your dream, which has made you cry. Either he is out of logic or you are out of logic. So, since I can't blame the Buddha for not being logician, I can only say that you are in ayoniso manasikara. No, no emotions. Sorry. The Brahma Vihara is not emotional, it's practical, but you get emotions when you see somebody suffering. That's different. Here, I go to Bodh Gaya and I cry. And that's being idiotic. And simple as that. Because there's no logic. Can a emotion has any logic? Why are you crying? Can there be a logic? No, there can't be any logic. Because there's emotion. I've fallen in love is illogical. Then you can't ask him, why did you fall in love? Because there's nothing called logic in love. So it's ayoniso manasikara. Okay. So samma ditti is michcha ditti. And yoniso manasikara is generally ayoniso manasikara. And hence Buddha Dhamma is logical, not mechanical, not emotional. Because the Dhamma cannot have emotions. Dhamma is the nature. So how can physics has an emotion? There's nothing emotional about it. It's investigation to understand how the reality works. In the same way, mathematics has logic and reasoning. So you can't say I'm emotional about mathematics. Stupid. So it's not that I can't go to Bodh Gaya. I can. But what's the logic of going there? What is that I want to accomplish? And here come 7 ways of seeing. What are those? Number 1, nibiddhaya, disillusioned. That should happen. That's the first logic. Viragaya, dispassionate. Nirodhaya, cessation. Upasamaya, peaceful. Abhinyaya, seeing things as they are. Sambodhaya, the Four Noble Truths. Nibbanaya, extinguishment. That's the logic. So if somebody asks, why am I following Buddha Dhamma? It's for these 7 things, nothing else. Not for adornment, not for worshipping, not for prayers, not for anything. It's only yoniso manasikara, proper discernment. And the proper discernment logic is 7. Who says so? MN26, Pasarisa Sutta. Please go ahead and look at it. How you should practice. So if you are an illogical, if I am an illogical person, I will worship. I'll create devotion, which is ayoniso manasikara. So what do I get? Instead of nibbidha, I get nandi, delight. Instead of viraga, I get into raga. Instead of nirodha, it is arodha, getting into it. No cessation. It's accumulation. Instead of upasama, it is stress. Stress to do what? To protect. How do you protect? By making it nitya, atta. That's all. So instead of dukkha, it is sukha. Absolutely sukha. Yeah. Because I went to Bodh Gaya. Right? That means Bodh Gaya exists for me. Because I'm a Buddhist. Supposing there's a born Buddhist and a born Hindu or a born Christian. A born Buddhist is a Buddhist. But what about the born Christian or a Hindu? He's not born like that. He's converted. So when there is conversion, there is madness. Otherwise, why did he convert? So there's no logic, right? That means, is he in nibbidha? No, he's illusioned. He's not disillusioned. He's illusioned. So he rejoices being a Buddhist. So he keep on saying, you know what, God's grace, or what a punya I had. I became a Buddhist, which is ayoniso manasikara, because there's no logic here. I becoming a Buddhist has got nothing to do with the Dhamma. Dhamma is nature. It doesn't care whether you're Buddhist or no Buddhist. Its nature is the same. So what do I mean that I became a Buddhist? No, it's wrong. So that's logic. Set theory, grouping, inclusions, exclusions. Panchakhanda is that. Nikayas are that. Right? That's grouping. Patisambhidha magga. Yeah, Patisambhidha. Sambhidha is grouping. Right? So ayatana, dhatus, etc. are grouping. And what is excluded and what is included. So, set theory, coordinative geometry, position, axis, which is in relation to. So, how do you experience? Experience depends on the frame of reference or on the context. If there were no context, there is no experience. Right? Fractals, repeating patterns, sankhara. Okay, they're fractals. So, what's geometry of this is it's a form, space, boundary, proportions, angle, direction, and relationship. If you know this geometry, geometrical structure, then the nibbidha happens, disillusioned. Then the viraga happens, and the nirodha happens. Then you are at peace. What will you do with an angle? Nothing. What do you do with a triangle? Nothing. What do you do with trapezium? Nothing. Our human form and dog, cat, all kind of animals have geometry. There's no person. Do you see any person there? Bus, train, car, plane, etc. are all geometrical objects. They take space and they have shape. So rupa, my experience of rupa is anicca because it doesn't stay in that shape. It changes shape. So the feeling is dependent on that rupa. If we change that rupa, the feeling also changes and the perception also changes. The volition also changes and the cognition, knowing, also changes. This is completely coordinated geometry, which is dependent. So if I take a geometrical object and put at a point, no length, width, height, or any position, it's a phassa, a moment of contact, which appears and vanishes. It's a point at which chakuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku vinyanam. That conscious experience is at that point. Then there's a line extension between 2 points. Continuity appears between many moments. So if we keep on seeing Michael because he has come today, so I keep on seeing Michael, and then only there is a perception of Michael. If I keep on seeing that body all the time, so it creates a line of reference. So then it becomes fixed. If I shuttle between Ariu and Michael, it drops. So then comes into plane. A plane is a two-dimensional field. All sense fields are two-dimensional. How? Sight and eyes, two of them. So angle, directional relation, all our sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, and thoughts are at a particular angle because it inclines towards that object, which then only the raga, dvesha, moha can come. Otherwise, there cannot be an angle. And if there is an angle, there is a symmetry, balanced structure. You need to balance the structure. So equanimity is there. That means neither you are feeling pleasant nor unpleasant. That's equanimity, right? If you're feeling pleasant, the structure is shaking. If you're feeling unpleasant, the structure is shaking. But when it is neither pleasant nor non-pleasant, structure is stable. And circle, no beginning or end of the curve. Samsara is like that. There's no beginning. How many times Buddha has spoken about it? There is no beginning. There's samsara. There's a circle. Where will you find it? Triangle. Sila Samadhi Panya is a triangle in a training. You know that? Didn't know that? Right? It's a triangle. It's a stable 3-point structure. Center, a reference point, mana. The I is the center. Perimeter is the boundary. Upadana is the boundary, which creates an inside and an outside, ajjata and pahit. Okay, so that's it for today on. Otherwise, I can go too detailed into mathematics, which makes no sense. I think this is sufficient. As far as the Dhamma goes, if you're very interested in mathematics, we can take each one of them and solve like quadratic equation and this equation, that equation, see how Buddha solves it logically. But I don't think so. We need to go that far unless you're so keen into it. Otherwise, it'll be half of the people, it would be boring. And other half of the people, they don't find the reference between how Dhamma works and how mathematics works. Because you need to be good in both. And I doubt all the people sitting here are good in both of them. Some are maybe in mathematics, some can be in Dhamma, but not both. Okay, that's it I had. So any questions? Otherwise, we can end early today. And I can continue with Michael. Yes, Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question regarding to Abhidhamma. There's a lot of
yes,
basically
Abhidhamma
numbers
has
and
a lot of mathematics.
and well, like a fixed amount of chittas. Of course, you have a certain amount of realms, and there's a fixed amount of years or yugas that you spend there. I was wondering what your thoughts on that. It seems to be very structured, like the amount of thoughts in Abhidhamma.
Abhidhamma is actually mathematics because I say everything on mathematics there, which I don't take Abhidhamma because at present we are not in a state or like an anagami where we can then take Abhidhamma, then it makes sense to see it. So that's the reason I generally take suttas rather than Abhidhamma. But yeah, you are right. It has structure, and anything that has structure has mathematics in it. Any other question? Good. That seems like everyone understood. Yes, Harry, you go ahead.
I have a question not specifically on mathematics, but on conditions. So I think overall, as we work on Dhamma, we can see as we purify our intentions and actions and stuff, our environment purifies. But still, we can see in these stories where, even Buddha, you will get abused or get false accused and all these things. I know these great beings have different conditions, and I've heard people say when you work on your awakening, you bring up some conditions which are unlikely to come, but you kind of make them come in a faster pace, something like that. So I wonder, well, what are the potential conditions that may, bring sorry, my son is speaking, is bring a exception to this law of general morality.
There's no exception. There's one sutta where Buddha says, it's highly unlikely, no matter what you do, you will be appreciated.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so I'll again repeat what Buddha says. There's one sutta where Buddha says, it's highly unlikely, no matter what you do, you will be appreciated. That means there is always a likelihood that you will be appreciated. There is highly unlikely that whatever you do, you'll be depreciated, I mean, you'll be blamed. There would be people, even though you're perfectly doing everything, you would be blamed. And it's highly unlikely that you wouldn't be ignored. You would be ignored. No matter whatever you have done correctly, no mistakes, there would be highly unlikely that you will not be noticed. You would be noticed. So the only way you can get out of these polarities is not taking it at all. Because you are seeing it because you're taking it. So now, Buddha being blamed or accused. In fact, Buddha says in many suttas, I've been accused of annihilation. That my Dharma is annihilationist. Why? Because the logic is not understood. So, it's not that Buddha did some mistake or anything, or then that is coming like this, which is illogical, basically. It's not that he created a condition so that he can experience it and let it go faster. Nothing like that. Even if he was right, the other person's logic beats it. Because each person brings in his own mathematical equation, right? So then he will struggle with his own equation. So you have to get to an understanding that everybody has their own way of reasoning it out. Even devotion is a way of reasoning, but it is devotion. He's blinded by that. But it's still a reasoning. In his mind, he is reasoned out, and hence he's in devotion. Yes.
I guess maybe what you're saying is, in a sense, if you've not taken it at all, that false accusation, then it hasn't happened to you really. You've known it at their level.
Yes. Yeah. So the 8 Lokiya Dhamma, if you were to disengage, then it doesn't do anything to you, because you know that's how people's logic works. See, if something works for you, then you'll appreciate. What if something doesn't work for you? But that's not in my control, right? I can't change your view and saying that, as you know, it's not like that. You remember from the time of 2019 till today, how many times we have gone through many scenarios, right? You have your own way of seeing things. So nothing that anyone can do. In the same way, I will have my own way of seeing, which nobody can do anything about it, because that ditti viewpoint happens because of multiple factors. So it's a combination, so permutation combination will bring into that view. That's the reason. Nothing else other than that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Sure, sure. Any other? So the logic thing Yoniso manasikara is what is most important. So if you have yoniso manasikara, you will not get emotional attachment. So the accusing only happens when you really take it. So what does he tell to Sariputta? He says, if somebody rebukes you or rebuke you, and then you find that it is real, it is true, you're done like that, accept it. However, after investigation, you find that you've not done it, don't have to take it. Correct? Is in a sutta itself.
Yeah, in the end one he speaks like that.
Yes. So always refrain from speaking or reacting. First see whether what he's saying is real. It's affecting. It's how it is. And you also agree with it. Yes, it is like that. So why don't I change myself then? That means you can change. You applied the logic and you change. So you have yoniso manasikara. So your ditti is proper view. Okay, so that's it for today. And tomorrow we come back to not tomorrow, Monday, we come back to Maharahulavada Sutta. All right. Okay, then good day, good night, good evening. And Michael, you can stay back and the remaining can leave.